Good evening, and thank you for joining us to celebrate the remarkable career and legacy of Lou Tyrrell. We begin tonight with a welcome from Michael Horswell, Dean of the Dorothy F. Schmidt College of Arts and Letters.
Good evening, everyone. It's so amazing to see so many friends and really family of Florida Atlantic University and then the whole South Florida theater community here tonight. So tonight we gather to honor and remember an extraordinary colleague and friend, Lou Tyrrell, someone who left us too soon, but who also gifted us an amazing and impactful legacy. Tonight will be about celebrating and appreciating the incredible spirit, ambition, generosity, and success of a man who changed the landscape in South Florida in theater forever. Yeah, I think that deserves it. I know that Lou meant so much to this special group gathered here today, and for those who are watching over the live feed. And he did mean a lot to me over the last 10 or 12 years that I had the privilege of getting to know him. Beyond the professional relationships he fostered here at FAU and around the world, it will be those personal interactions with Lou that we miss the most, along with his generous and tenacious work ethic, his unrelenting dedication to advance his greatest joy, which was the future of theater. Lou nurtured our souls for decades by leading those magical gatherings of people into rooms to reflect on the human condition, creating what we call theater. As an actor, director, producer, and advocate, I will miss very much our conversations that were always full of optimism and purpose, laughter, and good-hearted fun. And I will miss having Lou as the constant champion of our Department of Theater and Dance, and especially of FAU's Theater Lab. Now, Lou could have retired to Lake Worth to play croquet and take care of his dogs 10 years ago, 12 years ago. But instead, he decided to establish yet another professional theater company, Theater Lab at FAU. This time, his mission expanded the vision to include a university partnership. And I know I speak for so many here at FAU when I say that Theater Lab has enriched our campus beyond our wildest expectations and has helped launch a whole new generation of theater professionals into South Florida and beyond. In fact, just this afternoon at 4 o'clock, I presided over our graduation ceremony. And I think some may be in the audience, but we had about 10 or 12 MFA students in theater walk across the stage, get their diploma, and go out into the world. And that is so exciting. So from a converted yogurt shop in a college dorm, you all know the story, to this season, the Marlene Forkas Studio Theater just downstairs, Lou guided us to inaugurate and consolidate Theater Lab as a vital incubator of new American plays. A place where not only the written words jump off the page and onto the stage, but where dozens of creative professionals forge these new works into being. The beautiful thing about Lou and Lou's legacy that I am so privileged to see in theaters across this region every season are you, the colleagues that he cultivated over his career, and the patrons and the audiences that we all depend on to keep theater alive. I am sure if Lou was here tonight, he would be turning the spotlight back on you. There are so many patrons to thank that I can't, but I do want to at least appreciate our seasoned benefactors at Theater Lab, who have made the lab possible all these years, who started with Lou really in the beginning, Marta and Jim Batmazian. I know Marta's here tonight. Thank you, Marta. Myrna Gordon-Skurnick, who is here with us, and the late Edith and Martin Stein. And of course, there are dozens of others in the room who are inner circle members and producers and others who supported Lou's vision and now support Matt's vision. So to the theater professionals here, let me thank each of you for carrying on Lou's legacy. I know he will be watching, laughing, and crying with us at each of your performances all into the future. And I just want to say two more things in closing. First, I want to send my heartfelt sympathy to Kathleen Holmes, Lou's incredible partner of 46 years, who opened her home to me and so many others so many times. Kathleen, I will miss our dinners with Lou and your many beloved adopted dogs who slobbered all over me many times and also maybe bit me once or twice, but that was okay. They were your children. They are your children, and they're wonderful. And may all the love in this room that I'm feeling right now, feeling this afternoon, find its way to support you, Kathleen, forever, as you will always be a member of the FAU and the Florida Theater family. And finally, a special word of gratitude to Matt Stabile and his whole team at Theater Lab for their steadfast dedication to Lou, especially these last few months, and for organizing this amazing event tonight. Matt also took on the hard task of keeping us all informed and ultimately communicating the news to all our friends and family here and caring for Kathleen with Nikki. So all the while, he somehow continued to lead the lab, the Theater Lab, to extraordinary new heights. And I know that Lou is so proud of you, Matt, and your whole team. Thank you.
Thank you, please.
All right, so just to kind of get everybody up to speed, just
Right.
talk about,
Okay, now that none of that was usable, okay. Oh, my ums and uhs and, oh, good.
and you will speak to me.
Awesome.
And I will try not to look down too much. Where's the camera? There. Oh, oh.
Okay.
You're off.
So, how long are people talking?
My story is not long.
pick up themes like this story ties with this story.
Now, focus on you, focus on the camera. Okay.
A lot of it is just going to kind of come together. Just be doing your job
At this moment than mine.
Yeah, I bet.
So how is this going to work?
When you first met Lou? Do you remember the first time you met him?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that. What was
Yeah.
it like?
Are you recording? Oh, it was 1983, right at the beginning of the year.
This was back in either 1988 or 1989.
Okay, so back in 2008.
I don't remember the first time I met Lou, but it had to be auditioning for the learning stage.
My journey with Lou began 45 or 46 years ago. I'm a little fuzzy on what year that was.
And Lou was brought down from Gainesville to play Sherlock Holmes in the play called Crucifer of Blood. He was incredible. He was, first of all, an incredible actor.
I had started working down in Miami in Coral Gables for theater. I had resigned from there and had no idea what I was going to do next. But I'd heard from another person, Kathleen Emmerich, that Lou Tyrrell was looking for a stage manager. So I drove up from Miami to West Palm Beach, dressed as closely to the right way as I can dress. Notebook, a resume. What I thought was going to be an interview wasn't an interview. It really was Lou saying, "Oh, great, meet me at our office." I got to the office. He said, "Okay, we're going to go drop off some plexiglass to the scene shop. We've used this in another show, but we're going to use this at the next show. So if you can help me load this into the station wagon, we're going to take it over to the scene shop." And then after we went to the scene shop, he said, would you mind if we stopped for just briefly at the rehearsal hall? And they said, "Okay, oh no, great. Now let's go back to the office." And I walked into the office and it was just a house. I think a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom house. And I found out after the fact that it wasn't just the office. It was also where some guy lived at night. So he would be there at night and he would be living in his home, and then he would leave, and the office staff, they would come in and work during the day, and then they would leave and this guy would come back to his home. And that's how things worked at Florida Stage, then Theater Club of the Palm Beaches. And when it was all said and done, and after I'd had my quick meeting with Lou, I realized I didn't have anything that even resembled an interview. And I thought I wasn't really being interviewed. What he was doing was convincing me that this might be the place that I should land. Well, he was right.
So Lou hired me from Michigan. Yeah, so we didn't even know each other. I sent a letter, and it apparently intrigued him because he called me. Yep.
So Matt calls me up and he says, "Come to lunch with me and Lou. You've got to meet him." And so I said, "Great, I will do that." Sit down to lunch, meet this incredibly energetic, dynamic, wonderful, hysterical, brilliant human. And within an hour of the lunch, Lou had offered me a job that I was clearly not qualified for, but that was okay. Because Lou just seems to have this innate ability to see people not just for who they are, but their potential.
So I first met Lou backstage at Florida Stage. I was doing an educational outreach show that I was performing in. It was my senior year of high school. And all the kids were crazy backstage, hyper, going nuts. And I remember seeing Lou walk through and I was like, I have to be a professional here because he could get me a job one day. Yeah, it was just a few years. He gave me my first job at Arts Garage as a stage manager right out of college. He treated me like any professional that was walking in. He didn't treat me like the high schooler he knew me as.
I don't remember meeting Lou specifically, but I attended an audition and he called me back. And I can tell you then, specifically, 37 years ago, it changed the trajectory of my life. And I have him to thank for my career, the community I met, and the life I built. And I can't say thank you enough.
Not every year, but frequently in July, I would write him a little note because July is when I moved here to work for the theater. I would thank him for my life. I periodically spoke to him or wrote to him to thank him for my life.
So, my Lou, and I think for so many of us in this community, the question is, Lou gave me my first blank, right? And me, like many others, that was true. Lou literally gave me one of my very first opportunities, and that opportunity literally started my professional acting career down here.
My most vivid memory is when I got the phone call. And the phone call was a voicemail talking about the first season and the first event that they were going to have in this space and who they would want to be their music director for that. He enthusiastically said, "We would like it to be you, to be the music director." And I have to say that I still have that phone message and I still listen to it.
I think the most precious thing in my life is my family. The second most precious thing in my life is my writing career, and he gave that to me. And I tell people all the time, before I met Lou, I was a guy who wrote plays. After I met Lou, I was a playwright.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was on my 4th production of Learning Stage, I believe it was, and my life was just in shambles. It had fallen apart, which made me incapable of, fulfilling my role as an actor in this production. And so Lou, in his inimitable way, canned me. Very gently, but he said, "You're fired." And which, he was well within his rights. But when I got my act together and was ready to come back, he was the first one to hire me back.
He championed new plays, yes, but he also championed new playwrights. He took the art form seriously. He loved what he was doing, but he also wanted to make it fun. He also wanted everybody to have a good time. He wanted it to be a good place to work.
When you get to work on something new, that is the greatest feeling of all, because you create something together. And Lou was really good at not only finding the pieces that were really interesting and fascinating and wonderful, but to work with the playwright and the actors simultaneously in developing and rewriting and changing and working. And that was the great pull. That was the magnet.
I think Lou was very interested in connecting with his artists in a personal way. I think the project was an excuse for him to create a community of artists, to connect with that community of artists, to give that community of artists a place to do their craft.
It was never about the accolades. It was always about the work, the people, the relationship, and he just cared so deeply about the people and the process that all the rest of it, the critics, the awards, he could really give 2 shits about it. Can I say that? 2 shits?
I think for Lou, he cared about plays, he cared about new work, obviously, and he brought people around him that cared about those things. But he also understood that doing theater, being an artist, being any kind of theater artist, is hard work. So why must we make it so painful? Why can't it be fun?
He wanted to make sure that the actors coming in were treated well, that they had a good time, that Florida Stage was developing a reputation for a place that people wanted to work.
The environment that he and Nan created at Florida Stage was such one of family and of basic common sense. It wasn't highfalutin. It was, if that makes sense. And it certainly was an environment that once the audience left the room and the last audience member left the chamber, the beer coolers came out, food came out, it's just, and this sense of we're home, this is family, we're artists, and this is what we do.
My favorite time that I got to work with him was I was a stage manager for To Fall in Love, and he was the director. And so it was working with Lou, Matt, Nikki. So it was like working with the Theater Lab fam. And Lou, he had been doing theater for decades at that point, but he still had that joyful, passionate energy.
When I started at Florida Stage in 1992, I had already stage managed a lot. But I realized really quickly that I was not really a great stage manager. I was always nice and people always loved me, and I could certainly say go at the right time. But with Lou's mentorship and kindness, I think he inadvertently turned me into a better stage manager. And maybe it wasn't inadvertently. Maybe it was vertently.
So the tour begins. And every morning, and I have to say, I hate mornings. Lou and I would meet at the Hippodrome, and the conversation became kind of a running gag. How you doing, Dan? I'm alive. And then we'd climb into the van and we'd drive to the school and we'd put up the tree and we'd make magic. And we'd do 2 shows, and then the next day we'd do it all over again. I miss you, brother. Okay, maybe not at 5 in the morning, but when I'm awake.
Have you ever seen the little leather web things that they sell at kind of gift shops that are called dream catchers? Okay. So the dream catcher is a tradition from the Ojibwe people of the Southwest, this tribe. And they used to hang it over their babies' beds at night to keep their dreams from escaping while they slept. And what it teaches us is that our essence as human beings is to be driven by dreams. And that's who Lou was for me. He understood that. He was like a human dream catcher. He made probably hundreds, if not thousands of people's dreams come true.
He was my champion. I'm gonna cry. It means a lot to have someone of his caliber to champion you and your work. And that's what he was to me.
I loved him, and he marked me. And he will forever remain a part of who I am.
I have this beautiful memory of when my husband was coming home from the hospital and I needed to get him up the steps to our house, and it was raining. And I thought, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I called Lou on the way home from the hospital and I said, hey, I'm going to need some help. And at that time, they lived right around the corner from me. And I called him and I got to the street and there was Lou at the bottom of the stairs with an umbrella waiting. And he helped us get Don in the house and with grace got us settled and then disappeared.
Good.
All right.
Yay.
All right, get to cook.
Please welcome to the stage award-winning playwright, Ms. Deborah Zoloffer.
Hi, everybody. It's a celebration. I'm not going to fall apart. I'm so grateful to be here with all of you. This whole community that Lou built. You know, the last day I've seen all these people I love who are my lifelong friends and collaborators that I've learned so much from and who have helped me make beautiful things. And I would not know a single one of you without Lou. Well, my husband, David, I would know. The week Lou died, like people said, as everyone knows, social media was full of people saying, Lou gave me my first job. In 2002, Lou gave me my first professional production as a playwright when he produced and directed The Last Schwartz at Florida Stage. I remember walking into the theater for the first time where over a dozen people were busy at work on the set and the lights, and he turned to me and said, "All those people are here because you wrote a play." And I knew that, but it exemplified his respect for playwriting. I haven't worked at any theater where the work of the playwright was more honored and celebrated. And I've never had anyone believe in me as much as Lou. Over 25 years ago, when Lou and managing director Nan Barnett started Florida Stage, many theaters had a new play slot, but Florida Stage was the Southeast's only professional theater exclusively dedicated to the production of new American plays. They produced over 150 new works. And it takes real courage to offer season after season of new plays. I mean, an audience wants to know what they're getting into when they buy a ticket. And Lou developed a trust with his audience. They knew that their response to this new work, which was sometimes a draft or two away from being done, was contributing to the play's development and its future. Before The Last Schwartz closed, Nan and Lou had gotten on the phone with artistic directors around the country, securing its next several productions. Lou is my mentor. He taught me that you can lead with kindness and generosity and make something extraordinary. He produced 3 of my plays at Florida Stage, and I was down there nearly every year hearing my latest work read at one of their new play festivals where the motto was, "More parties than plays." Lou believed in the playwright, not just the play, and took wild chances on some risky work. In 2003, through NNPN, Florida Stage commissioned me to write a play about the Gulf War while it was happening. And they scheduled the production when I only had a few not very good scenes written. And it was a frenzied white-knuckle affair, as much of the play was truly ripped from the daily headlines. And the Gulf of Westchester ends with George W. Bush saying, "Mission accomplished" on that aircraft carrier not long after he said it. And some donors bristled at the politics of the play, and one stormed out saying they'd never give another penny to the theater. And I felt really terrible about it. And Lou said, "We're hitting a nerve. We're doing the work." Lou was a producer, a director, an actor, a teacher, but most of all, he was a visionary. He founded 3 South Florida theaters, Florida Stage, Arts Garage, and Theater Lab. And Theater Lab began with festivals of stage readings where renowned playwrights came to teach and lead workshops. And then in 2016, Lou and Matt Stabile, decided to produce their first full production, my play, The 3 Sisters of Weehawken. And for some crazy reason, they decided that I should direct it. And I never directed anything. And I said, I can't direct. I'm not a director. And they were like, "That's okay. You're going to direct it." And they helped me and guided me and encouraged me. And I went on to direct 3 more of my plays there, as well as at many other theaters. And once again, Lou's belief in me, which was much greater than my belief in myself, changed my life and my career. For 25 years, Lou and his wife Kathleen have been family to me. Lou's cooking was legendary, and they were always gathering people to their home, which they shared with at least half a dozen rescue dogs. And Kathleen, as you know, is an extraordinary artist, and their whole home is art. It's full of beauty and personality. I'm shocked and gutted that Lou is gone. I saw him shortly before his death, and he was his usual vibrant, energetic, joyful self, full of plans, full of humor, full of life. The week of Lou's death, Matt was launching the second Owl New Play Festival at Theater Lab, and 2 weeks of over 30 events of new work at every stage of development, full productions, readings, academic lectures, workshops. He dedicated the festival to Lou, and there couldn't have been a more fitting tribute. Thank you so much for carrying on his work, Matt. I can't believe he's not here, but the legacy that he built and the people whose lives he changed are everywhere. Thank you. Love you all so much. Thank you.
We invite you to enjoy this musical tribute, performed by Ms. Irene Agin, with accompaniment by Mr. Bruce Linzer.
The way you wear your hat, the way you sip your tea, the memory of all that. No, they can't take that away from me. The way your smile just beamed, the way you danced till 3, the way you haunt my dreams. No, they can't take that away from me. We may never, ever meet again on this bumpy road we love. Still, I'll always, always keep the memory of the way you hold your knife, the way we danced till 3, the way you changed my life. No, they can't take that away from me. No, they can't take that away from me.
Please welcome to the stage Theater Lab's first company manager, Lauren Palmieri Mark, and First Lady of the Lab, Ms. Nikki Freed.
Lou had a superpower. He could see potential. He saw an actor and could see how they'd transform into a role. He saw a script half done and saw the beautiful piece of live theater it could be. He saw a feral cat or 7 and envisioned a companion. He saw an abandoned dorm cafeteria and knew it could be a nationally renowned theater. He saw a 26-year-old administrative assistant with a dance degree and not a ton of professional experience and saw a company manager. I have no idea why. But when Matt told me Lou wanted me on board to start Theater Lab, what I did know was that for some reason, this incredible man believed in me, and I would do anything in my power to not let him down. And Lou continued to believe in me. I stumbled many times in my role, but Lou was always there with a smile, a solution, a coffee, sometimes wine, and usually flowers. When someone believes in you and gives you the freedom to try and fail, or try and succeed, something really crazy starts to happen. You start to believe in yourself too. And eventually, after a few years of Lou's relentless encouragement, I believed in myself so much that I moved away and started my own business. I opened a tap room and gathering space in Vermont with my husband, Nick, who some of you may remember. We opened Arrowhead Lodge in February of 2020 5 weeks before the pandemic. And with the skills and leadership qualities I learned from Lou, I got our business through the pandemic, created a team, and even bought the building. I now lead my own team under the laws of Lou, with love, kindness, and family first. We all saw Lou greeting guests before the show with his comforting presence and infectious smile. But what you all didn't see was him fly out the door 5 minutes after the show began to spend the evening with his wife, Kathleen, their fur babies, and chosen family of friends. While Lou was so dedicated to his career and his colleagues, it seems impossible to fathom he did anything else. But outside of this world, he had an undying love for his wife and the beautiful life they created together. I'm so glad I witnessed that love for life through him, as I now have a growing family of my own. Our son Ronan is 3, and his little sister, Isla, is arriving in 6 weeks. Hey, girl. Lou taught me not only how to have a successful career, but most importantly, a full and happy life.
I began my professional theater career when I was, well, a little bit older than 26. It was 2007, and Matt and I had moved from Miami to Delray Beach. Matt began a teaching job, which is what brought us to Palm Beach County. I didn't have a full-time job, but did odd jobs here and there to make ends meet. I really wanted to get back on stage. After all, it was my passion since I was a little girl. So I began to audition. I saw that Florida Stage was having their general season audition, so I went. I don't remember it in too much detail, but that was the first day that I met Lou. Later, I was contacted by Florida Stage and asked if I would like to be in the Laramie Project 10 years later reading, a special one-night event. That was the very first time that I worked with Lou. I remember him being so full of pride to be able to participate in this incredible evening that was happening in theaters all across the country. His enthusiasm to bring people together and create was like nothing I had ever seen before. Little did I know then, this was who he was at his core. Fast forward, I needed a job and was offered an incredible opportunity to teach theater at a small, wonderful private school. It wasn't at all what I was thinking of doing. However, we desperately needed the money, and this job offered us financial stability, and at least I would be teaching something I was truly passionate about. I did that job for a few years. It was a great job, but I felt as if something was missing. Lying in bed one night, I turned to Matt and I said, I never really wanted to be a teacher. I'm teaching what I love, but I'm not doing what I love. Matt turned to me and said, well, quit. What? I said. He repeated it. Quit. Jump and the net will appear. So I did. I was terrified. Afraid we wouldn't have enough money, afraid that I wasn't good enough for a professional acting career, afraid that I would let my family down, but I did it anyway. I think that was probably when my personal motto found me, the quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, do the thing you think you cannot do. Like this speech, right now. So in 2012, after Lou had said goodbye to Florida Stage and was producing theater at the Arts Garage, I went to an audition for the character of Nan in Lauren Gunderson's Exit Pursued by a Bear. I remember asking Lou if he remembered me from the Laramie Project, and he responded, I sure do. You played Romaine Patterson. I was like, wow, you actually do remember me. I did the audition. I felt pretty good about it. And later that evening, I got a phone call. It was Lou. He said, I remember this so clearly. Hey, Nikki, this is Lou Tyrrell. I'm wondering if you would like to come play with us. It was so Lou. And I was ecstatic, and of course, I said, yes, yes, yes. I got off the phone in tears, told Matt who had called, and thus it all began. I had jumped, and the net had appeared because Lou threw it out for me. He started it all. Then, while doing this production at Arts Garage, of course, Matt met Lou, and well, the rest, you're going to hear about that in just a bit. After the production at Arts Garage, I started auditioning and getting cast in shows at theaters across the state. I joined the union and began a career that I am incredibly grateful for. Over the years, Lou was not only a creative colleague, but became a dear friend. At some point right after Theater Lab was founded, I gave him the nickname Uncle Lou. He didn't like it much at first. He said, hey, I'm not that old, but as time went on, he grew to love it. And it was a good thing because all of us at the lab called him Uncle Lou. He and his beautiful wife, Kathleen, were more like family to us than anything else. In fact, when Matt and I were hoping to purchase our first home, Lou and Kathleen invited us over for dinner. While Lou cooked one of his many delicious meals, Kathleen threw us in the car and took us on a tour of their neighborhood to show us the properties they owned in Lake Worth Beach. We fell in love with the neighborhood and ended up buying their Pinky's place, which was just a few blocks away from their home. They were always thinking how to better the lives of those around them. In fact, in September of 2022, they opened their hearts and their homes once again. My mom and stepfather, who lived on Sanibel Island, came to stay with us during Hurricane Ian. They packed a duffel bag and they brought their cat Bruno, and they were thinking they were going to be at our house for a couple of days until the storm passed. Well, that didn't happen. Sanibel Island took a direct hit and Ian completely destroyed their home, and they lost most of all of their belongings. They were not even able to return to the island until a month later to see if anything could be salvaged. But Lou and Kathleen were there and said, please come stay in our apartment above our garage until you get back on your feet. They even created a studio space so my stepfather could continue his career as a visual artist. Uncle Lou was the quintessential giver of not only parts, roles, careers, but meals, all those delicious meals, and a giver of love. He always led with love. Love of theater, love of people, love of animals, love of community, love of life. And our life and our lives have been made better because of him. We would not have all that we have without Kathleen and our dear, dear Uncle Lou. Thanks. I think we said it.
Our stories of how Lou impacted our lives and careers are uniquely ours, but I'm willing to bet many of you have a similar story of your own. Lou was both enthusiastic and steadfast in his commitment to helping aspiring artists of all kinds get their start in the industry and supporting them as they advance their careers.
In honor of Lou's profound impact on both the South Florida theater community and the national industry at large, Theater Lab, with the generous support of the Hexter Foundation for Children, has established the annual Lou Tyrrell Artist in Residence program.
The program at Theater Lab will carry on Lou's legacy by providing career development for early career artists in all areas of the industry. Working closely with Theater Lab over a full season, they will gain experience, paid professional contracts, and resume credits in their desired field.
Each year, following an application and review process, Theater Lab will identify an early career artist whose career aspirations and artistic goals align with the needs of the company as the Lou Tyrrell Artist in Residence for the upcoming season.
Selected artists will receive a cash award and no fewer than 2 artistic contracts in their desired field on Theater Lab productions that season. While future awards will come from a national submission and review process, because of time constraints, this year's list of finalists came from nominations of early career artists with whom Theater Lab already had a relationship and based on the needs of this upcoming season.
Nominees were asked to submit resumes, samples of work, and artistic statements. These items were reviewed by a committee, including Theater Lab leadership and an outside professional theater artist, and last week, a winner was selected.
Tonight, it is our great honor to be able to present the first ever Lou Tyrrell Artist in Resident Award to Manny Zaldivar.
A graduate of FAU's BFA theater program, Manny began his career as an actor. In fact, he appeared in a series of short plays as part of the lab's first ever educational outreach program in 2015. His aspiration to make films led him to LA, where he spent the next decade honing his craft as a writer, actor, director, and producer. The pandemic brought him back to Florida, where he began implementing video production into the theater community of South Florida by creating promos and trailers, and recently discovered the avenue of projection and video design for live productions.
In addition to his impressive resume and work samples, one phrase from Manny's artistic statement particularly resonated with the committee. We are all stories. Who we are, who we were, and who we could be. No one understood that better than Lou, and we know he is with us tonight celebrating all Manny has been, is now, and is on his way to becoming. I'm going to do a word at the end.
Got it. For the 26-27 season, Manny will serve as the projection and video designer for multiple productions, including the world premiere of Baker Street Beginnings by Gina Monte, a Heckscher Theater for Families commission and world premiere, the Joanna Castle Miller Bad Faith trilogy, and the world premiere of Recognition by Ken Weitzman.
Please join us in congratulating Manny and the recipient of the 2026-27 Lou Tyrrell Artist in Residence at Theater Lab.
Hello, I'm Manny. I've never really won much besides video games and participation trophies, so this is pretty cool. But I'm honored and grateful to be receiving this recognitions, and like many before me, Lou and the team at Theater Lab gave me some of my first opportunities, first acting credit professionally. One of my first experiences building sets, I got to build the stage for Theater Lab. I went to Matt with my first screenplay. I'm like, how do I fix it? How do I make it work? And now I never expected to be designing video projections, but here we are. So thank you to everybody that made this possible, and I'm excited for all the stories to come out of Theater Lab. Lou knew that stories change the world. We are where we are because of the stories we tell each other and the world. And he was very passionate about bringing stories that created connection, allowed people to share ideas, gain new perspectives, stories that inspires, and stories that remind us of our humanity. And that passion is living on in all of us through our actions and through our art. Thank you so much.
Lou Tyrrell was a farmer. He planted seeds, ideas, projects, people. Then he added shit. I mean notes. I mean fertilizer to help the seeds grow. And sunshine and time, weeds, yup. Pull them, mulch them, live with them, whatever. Then the harvest. Lou's farm made forever friends, lasting memories, exceptional theater art. Thanks, Lou. Time to plan the next season.
Lou, you gave me an artistic home away from home, producing 4 of my plays at Florida Stage and workshopping another at Theater Lab, where you introduced me to my dear friend and collaborator, Deborah Zolaufer. I am ever grateful to you for your faith, your artistry, and your boundless enthusiasm.
From the learning stage to Theater Lab and all places in between, your stage was my classroom for the past 40 years. Because I witnessed and studied your high caliber work, I became a better actor, director, educator, and even scene change choreographer. Thank you for making such an impact on my life, Lou, and for being my life's greatest teacher. We miss you.
Everything good that's happened in my life over the past 36 years comes from Lou and Nan inviting me to join the merry band of the theater club family, and I'm forever grateful.
I interned at Florida Stage in 1999, and I got to learn all the different aspects of regional theater. And for what I'm doing today, I couldn't have learned that if I actually didn't do the internship. So thank you, Mr. Tyrrell, for being a guiding light in the South Florida theater market and for giving us the opportunities that that you did.
Theater Club of the Palm Beaches, Pope Theater Company, Florida Stage, in all of its iterations, was a unique experience with a unique group of people who came together because Louis believed in the power of people and that together magic could be created.
Lou was one of the people who really and genuinely believed in me from the beginning. Every time he would see me in a production, he would see me as something way bigger than I was able to see myself as. And he would communicate that through his eyes and that genuine smile. And he would also give the best hugs. And the cooking and the food is delicious. And yeah, I would always keep his words of encouragement with me, and I'm so grateful to have met Lou. So thank you, Lou.
Few people can pinpoint when their life changed forever. And that happened to me 37 years ago when I walked into an audition and met Lou Tyrrell. And he handed me a career and a community and a friendship. And I thank him from the bottom of my heart. I love you, Lou. Thank you.
I look back at all my emails from Lou, and they all start "Dear Fabulous Playwright," and they all end "Warmest Lou." And I think Lou creates an environment in which playwrights feel loved because he loved them. And I think that was sincere, and it created the best environment in which to work. Miss you, Lou.
I was going to say how great Lou is and how he was responsible for my career, because he is and he was. But instead, I think I'll tell an anecdote. A few years back, I was working with Lou on one of my scripts that they were going to produce the following season. And they had just opened up a brilliant production of a play called Constant Star about the civil rights icon, Ida B. Wells. And he showed me a letter from a very wealthy patron, and inside this letter there was a very sizable check, and the letter said to Lou, it was written personally to Lou, and it said, "Dear Lou, you know how much I love your work, but if you continue to produce work like this, I will in fact pull my support." And Lou took that letter and the very sizable check and mailed it back to the lady with a note that said, "We don't want your money." To me, that is what Lou is and was.
That anytime I had an issue or concern or wanted a second opinion about life decision making, I would call Lou or text Lou, and he would always answer. And and I'm very thankful for that, because we'd go out on the pier and just discuss life, and that for me is a very fond memory that I will always cherish. And so I wish I could be there with you, Kathleen. Well, we wish we could be there with you, both you and I, but we are sending our love, and we love you both.
Ever the kind champion of artists that Lou was. When I first started working at the lab, he told me years later, anytime I need a confidence boost. Thank you, Lou.
Hi, this is Susan Zeter bringing you greetings from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Lou, it's been a lot of years since we worked together on the music lesson at UT Austin, but I want to thank you for a distinguished career and for the number of new plays that you've brought into existence. Thanks so much, and this is an honor well deserved.
Smart, talented, kind, warm, wonderful, loved, and missed.
Lou impacted my life by seeing something in me that I never even saw in myself, and he nurtured it and he helped grow it, and I'm forever grateful.
The years that I spent at the Pope Theater Company / Florida Stage were absolutely the happiest years of my acting career. And it was largely thanks to Lou, His warmth, his smile, and his generous spirit will stay with me for the rest of my life.
Lou was just such a great guy who always seemed genuinely happy to see you. He was a real gentleman, and he will be greatly missed.
So I'm about 23 years old. I'm doing a video shoot with Lou Tyrrell. We're on lunch. We're coming back in his car, just the two of us. And we're talking about women, not show business. And he says a woman's beauty is proof that God exists. And that stuck with me more than any of the showbiz stuff throughout the years. Lou was a beautiful soul.
Lou, we thank you for your love, hospitality, warmth, wit, and profound insight into the human experience, but most of all, your sheer joy in this passage we call life. Thank you, Lou.
Hi, I'm Ariana Rose. I'm a playwright, and what I'll remember about Lou is his kindness to me and to everybody in his orbit. Godspeed.
Having Lou as a friend was like receiving a package of precious gifts. His humanity, his caring, his passion for his craft, and his infectious energy will not be forgotten.
A sentence to do Lou would not even be a haiku. And gosh darn it, I'd like to do a sonnet. But even that would not do Lou true. Doobie doobie doo.
Toast to you, Lou. On our birthdays, I miss my dear, beautiful, loving, supportive, brilliant, creative friend.
Once upon a time at Florida Stage, legend had it that if you saw Michael Murata running around in a tuxedo, it was probably summer in Manalapan. I did my share of musical reviews all those summers ago, and Lou Tyrrell saw past the Song and Dance Man and cast me in a play where I didn't have to sing or dance, just act, something I've been doing quite a bit of ever since. I will never forget him for that. Thank you, Lou.
Hi, this is Lauren Gunderson, and just a quick note to say I'm so grateful for Lou. He helps champion my work early on in my career. I will never forget it. So I'm so sorry to hear about his passing, and I am confident, as I know many of you, that his work and his legacy of powerful theater and supporting new plays will very much live on in all of our hearts and all of the work that he helped champion.
From Florida Stage in 1991 to Arts Garage in 2011, finally to Theater Lab in 2015, I have followed Lou's inspiring mission to create new work as an enriching and joyful part of my own life. Lou, you have created a magnificent legacy. May you rest in peace. Thank you, Judy Weiner.
Part of the reason I have a career is because of Lou. He believed in me before anybody else did. He gave me my first world premiere production, as he did many other people, and then kept including me in the family and supporting me throughout my career.
I am a grateful recipient of Lou's generous spirit of collaboration.
Lou was the most supportive and generous artistic director I ever worked for, and he launched my directing career. Thank you, Lou.
It's not easy to put into words what Lou meant to so many of us. But if I had to sum it up, I'd have to say that Lou is, was, and will always be love.
Our second musical selection of the evening comes courtesy of Angelina Lopez Catledge and Paul Curtis, also known as Ola High.
Good evening. I see trees of green, clouds of white, cold blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, What a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky. They're also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, we love Lou. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage, Producing Artistic Director of Theater Lab, Mr. Matt Stabile.
Thank you. Thank you. Some of you know this, but the only time they ever let me talk at the Carbonells, I rambled for 10 minutes. So, yeah. So strap in. First, oh, there's a water bottle. First, I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. Lou loved bringing people together, and I can't think of a better tribute than all of you being here with us tonight, both in the room and virtually. This feels exactly like what he would want to be happening right now. Well, maybe with some fabulous meal and a few more cocktails thrown in, but I also want to take a moment to thank everyone who has reached out to offer their help, support, or just a kind word. From the moment I began having to make those difficult phone calls back in April, we have all been buoyed by the palpable love that we've felt coming back our way. It has made it clear to us that we are sharing in our grief because we shared in our love. What is grief, if not love persevering? That line is credited to the screenwriter Laura Donnie. But the story is that after workshopping a slightly different original line with actors and some other collaborators, they landed on that final version, and nobody quite remembers who was responsible for which part of it at this point. And the story feels like exactly the kind of work Lou would be proud of, and he will therefore forgive me for having just quoted a Marvel series at his celebration. WandaVision is a great show. You should check it out. Very special thank you to everyone who made tonight possible. Dean Horswell, Tom Chirac, and everyone at the college and department who helped us plan and organize this event. Robert Goodrich and everyone who sat for an interview for that incredible video tribute. We shot over 15 interviews on a single Saturday last month. Robert then spent the next couple of weeks combing through that footage to create what he so rightly referred to as a love letter that we were able to share with you tonight. Yeah. That was the very last creative project to take place in the old yogurt shop. And somehow that feels exactly as it should be. To Big Chief Brass, Irene, Bruce, Olahai, Deb, Lauren, Nikki, and Manny, and everyone who sent in their own video tributes for sharing their artistry and stories in celebration of Lou tonight. And of course, to the unbelievably wonderful staff and affiliated artists at Theater Lab, Cassie, Michael, Jill, Aubrey, Zoe, Diana, Yanela, Joelle, Matt, Corey, who were happy to do whatever it took to ensure we were able to honor the person who made all of this possible, who made the family of us possible. I love and am so very grateful for all of you. It's okay. Gratitude is the only way I could even conceive of approaching this speech today. Words feel so completely insufficient to capture all Lou is, was, and will continue to be for me. And I know many of you share that sentiment. But stories are how we try to understand the great mysteries that surround us each day. Mysteries like love, mysteries like loss. So I'll do what I can to share some of my story of Lou. Lou and I probably interacted during the Florida Stage Days. I was teaching high school and my students participated in the various educational programs there, so we certainly crossed paths, but I can't say we had really met at that point. For me, it was when Lou cast Nikki in that production of Lauren Gunderson's Exit Pursued by Bear at Arts Garage. During my time at G-Star, we had a small company called Rude Mechanical Productions and would produce 3 to 4 shows each season out of the school's theater space. One of those shows, From the Mouths of Babes, was an annual event where we produced an evening of 10-minute plays written by students and performed by a combination of student and professional actors. By 2012, RMP had dissolved and we were now part of Take Heed Theater Company, but still producing this annual show. That year, however, things took a turn when the administrators at the school expressed concern about the content of prior productions, and because students were involved, essentially asked us to censor what the kids were writing if we were to continue performing out of the school's facilities. So, after one of the performances of Exit at Arts Garage, I went up to Lou with a quick pitch about possibly performing our show at that venue. The best I was hoping for was an offer to meet later and discuss the idea. Nope. Right there in the lobby, he said, "Of course, what do we need to do to make it happen?" I didn't know it at the time, but he needed an educational outreach program to fulfill some grant funding. And the project happened to be a perfect fit. So as it turned out, we needed each other and the universe knew it even if we didn't. A few months later, we were rehearsing 6 short plays with high school kids and professional actors and getting them ready for a weekend-long run at Arts Garage. After rehearsal one day, Lou caught me alone in the office I shared with the other theater teachers. "So you're going to leave teaching full-time when the school year ends?" "Yeah, time to take the full-time leap into the artistic world, I guess." "Do you have anything lined up?" "Not yet, just going on blind faith." "Well, maybe there's a way we can continue working together." Lou Tyrrell, this titan of South Florida theater, was offering an opportunity to come work with and learn from him. And because I was a little younger and probably equally as full of myself as I am now, I'm aware of my shortcomings, guys. I responded with, "Oh, maybe, but I mean, my acting career is my priority." Of course. Anyway, fast forward a few weeks. The show had been a great success, both in terms of the process and final production. And the school year had come to an end, and I cleaned out my desk, said my goodbyes, and drove home. And I'd like to say I was filled with excitement for this next chapter, but that excitement was living very close to the fear centers in my brain. Nikki and I had now both left our full-time jobs for the gig life. How would we manage without some source of stable income? A text from Lou. "Congrats on finishing the year. Are you free to come over to my place for lunch tomorrow? Any preferences on food?" "I can make that work. Low carb, please. I got to stay trim for audition season." I am aware of my shortcomings. Anyway, less than 24 hours later, after leaving my full-time job over a lunch of shrimp salads, Lou asked me to come be his director of education for theater at Arts Garage. I'd receive a monthly stipend, be free to design my own program, and create my own schedule, which allowed me to keep acting as my first priority. All that. And as an added bargain, I just found the greatest and most important mentor of my professional career. Over the next 2 seasons, I did book several shows at theaters throughout South Florida. Most of my time, however, was spent by Lou's side. Lou gave me free rein to design and implement the Education Outreach Program, which was the precursor for Theater Lab's flagship educational outreach program, the Future Pages Project, providing students with free access to live theater and using those productions to inspire the students to write stories of their own. In addition to the education program, I was eagerly picking up as many odd jobs as Lou had to offer as part of the season. I did prop and furniture shopping, a little stint of dramaturgy, run crew, front of house stuff, and eventually an on-stage role in the world premiere of Uncertain Terms by Allison Gregory, directed by Lou himself. All of it was incredible. But the most significant thing that happened over those 2 seasons was a collaboration with Des Gallant and the FAU Department of Theater and Dance. We cast BFA students in a collection of short plays, which we used as the show for the outreach program. And over the course of that collaboration, Lou and I began to discuss what it would look like to make that collaboration a more permanent thing. Less than a year later, when Lou asked if I'd join him as the Associate Artistic Director of the soon-to-be-founded Theater Lab, I eagerly accepted, without listing any other priorities. 11 years ago, on Tuesday, August 11th, 2015, and I just have to note how fucking weird it is that that was also a Tuesday, Lou, Lauren, and I moved into an unused former cafeteria space filled with desks, rolling office chairs, a lot of dead bugs, and began building what would become Theater Lab, the resident professional company of FAU. Theater Lab would forever share its birthday with Lou. And I promise you, this was not by design. In fact, Lauren will gladly tell you about how we had to wait 2 weeks longer than we originally planned to get onboarded, and both of us were freaking out about how we were going to pay our bills for those 2 weeks. But it all worked out. And now I think maybe that date was by design, just not ours. That first season, we did more than 50 readings of new plays. Within 3 years of that conversation in the lobby of Arts Garage, Lou had me calling and emailing playwrights I'd admired for years, some of whom I'd studied in college. I had Stephen Dietz's personal phone number. What world was I living in? But that was the gift of Lou's mentorship. He didn't tell you he was teaching you something. He just had you do it. How should we structure the calendar for these readings? Who might be a good fit for these roles? Join me for lunch with this donor and let's see if any ideas come up. Have you read any plays or playwrights we should be considering? Why don't you direct this first one? I think it's a good fit. He had me direct the first ever public event at the lab, a concert-style reading of fugitive songs. He was the known entity. He was what donors and higher-ups were banking on, and he was handing me the keys to the very first public event. So many people have shared stories of Lou providing them with their first opportunity, but he didn't stop there. He kept challenging you, kept championing you, and people remembered and loved him for it. When we were casting for that first reading at the lab, Lou told me to call Jenny Hacker for a role. Lou, she lives in what can almost be described as the Keys. Jenny is not going to drive up here every day to do a reading. We'll try and see. I did. Jenny, Lou and I are doing this thing, and we thought of you, but it's not a lot of money, and it is a lot of driving, and anything for Lou. I have heard actors say a lot of things about artistic directors, but never that. And it was because Lou returned that same commitment to the people who helped him make the work possible. Maria Amador was a former student of mine who had spent a summer interning as a stage manager at Arts Garage just before I started there. When I called her to tell her the news about Lou, she shared the story of that summer with me. How she didn't have a car, and how Lou would drive to her house every morning, pick her up, would buy her lunch every day, and drive her home again every evening. When we were casting the production of This Random World by Stephen Dietz, Lou said to me, "We're going to use Dan Leonard in this role." Lou, are you kidding? This character comes on for 5 minutes in the very last scene. We can't use an equity contract for that role. It doesn't make sense financially. Matt, we're using Dan. He was teaching me that the business was the people. The numbers didn't matter if we couldn't take care of the people. My mother-in-law, Christy, said it best the other night. You'd see Lou come flying down the road on his bike like a 7-year-old, just bopping and smiling. You'd see the smile before the man, and he'd race up to you and stop to talk about your day. He had such an interest in people, in what you were doing. When he was with you, he was really with you. To be fair, she never attended a staff meeting with him. On several occasions, we almost instituted a put your cell phone in this box until the meeting is over rule, but we let it slide. Back in April, when I was making those phone calls, many people I spoke with took a moment to say they hoped I knew just how proud he was of me and all we'd done together. The wonderful thing about Lou is that you never had to wonder how he felt about you. He wore his heart on his sleeve and was unabashed about telling the people he loved that he loved them and let them know how deeply he loved them, how proud he was of them, and everything they were doing. And that's why I know how immensely proud he was of what we were building with Theater Lab. In fact, the first year or so, he got a personalized FAU license plate. He wanted it to say The Lab, but he was only allowed 5 characters. So he went with T-Lab. And I always chuckled thinking about how many people thought he ran or frequented the testosterone lab on campus. But I think the biggest source of his pride was that he was building something again. After all the success of Florida Stage, here he was again, putting up shows in a cafeteria. Now that might have been disappointing to a lesser person, but it was a gift to Lou. He was back doing the miraculous work of creating, painting flats, rearranging seating. When we first opened, we bought 10-person tables to use as audience seating, but when we got them into the room in the first audience, we realized there was no room for anyone to move around. We have to get rid of the tables, Lou, but where will people put their wine? After all his success, after all his accolades, and it's been said before, but it is true, he didn't care about the accolades. That was clear to anyone who had the good fortune of attending a dinner at his house when they saw he used his Carbonell as a doorstop. He cared about the work, and there wasn't a job that was beneath him. Following that first season of readings, Lauren's husband, Nick Mark, spent the summer building out what would become our stage and audience seating. And just minutes before the house opened for our first ever full production, the world premiere of Deb Zoloffer's Three Sisters of Weehawken, there was Lou right next to me in our opening night attire, complete with hammers, nailing down the seat numbers in a mad dash to the finish line. And from our many talks, I know we shared a philosophy that theater, like life, is so precious and beautiful because it is temporary. We come together with others, we make this thing, and we give ourselves fully to it. And after all the struggles, joys, laughter, tears, all we're left with is a memory. But to Lou, and to all of us at Theater Lab represented something that could live on beyond the show's final bow, something more. Because while the shows would close, the community would remain. The most important part of what we do would live on. So in 2018, following our production of Lauren Gunderson's The Revolutionists, which I directed, when he said it was time for him to move into the role of founding director and for me to step into the role of artistic director, I understood the responsibility I was being given. And I knew exactly how much faith he was placing in me, and that he would be there for whatever I needed as I grew into this role. And that's how it would continue for years. Lou there, ready to do whatever he needed to help make the lab a success. Through the many acts of faith it takes to keep a theater company running, through good reviews and reviews where they just didn't understand what they were looking at. Through a pandemic and a return, there was Lou, ready, willing, and able to support us all in any way he could, and always beaming with pride about it all. Tonight, I am pleased to share with you that over the course of this next season, Theater Lab will establish the Lou Tyrrell Legacy of Theatrical Excellence Fund. Gifts to this fund will create an endowment to support our mission to inspire, develop, and produce new work, artists, and audiences in perpetuity. If you'd like to be a part of that legacy, there's information on the back of your program on how to join us. And as an added incentive tonight, thanks to the generosity of the Stoops Family Foundation Fund at the Community Foundation for Palm Beach and Martin counties, I can also announce an incredibly generous matching challenge of $10,000 to begin this fund. The next yeah, you can clap for them. The next $10,000 in contributions to this fund will be matched 100%, meaning your gifts of any size will be doubled. Okay, back out of artistic director mode. Now, thank you again to all of you for joining us tonight. In a moment, Big Chief Brass will lead a processional back out of the theater space, down to the lobby of the Marlene Forkas Studio One Theater, where Theater Lab will begin producing next month, for a toast and time to share with one another. But before, I'm going to ask you to indulge me just a bit longer while I share two more brief anecdotes with you all. The first is about sneakers. I love cool sneakers. I often build an entire outfit around the shoe choice. So last year, as the Carbonells were approaching, I knew I needed to find the right pair for that swanky party. I ordered a pair with this incredible cream and purple combo and then went out shopping for the shirt, pants, and coat to complete the outfit. Now, a week before the Carbs, I was complaining at a staff meeting that my shoes had not arrived and my outfit was therefore in jeopardy. Lou says to me, "Oh, I've got a cool pair you can borrow. I'll bring them." He did. They were cool, although not really right for my outfit. Fortunately, the pair I ordered did arrive on time and my outfit was on point, and that is why Theater Lab won awards that night for Best Actor in a Play and Best Original Work, and you are welcome, Debzo Lofra. But Lou's shoes stayed in my closet. And then he was out for a while recovering from his procedure. And then when he was back, I forgot I had them. So they were in my closet for about 6 months. And it was a Wednesday, and we had a staff meeting, and I remembered to put the sneakers in my car and bring them back to Lou. And as he was getting ready to leave for the day, I said, "Oh, hey man, I got your sneakers here for you. Don't they fit you?" "Yeah, I mean, they're like a half size bigger than what I normally wear." "Well, I must have bigger feet." "Why don't you just keep them?" "Are you sure?" "Of course, they're yours now." And that was the last time I saw him. So, here they are, and they are cool as hell. Snakeskin Nike Air Force Ones, primo. And the whole big shoes to fill thing is not lost on me. But it also doesn't really fit our story. Because while he wanted me to have these cool-ass sneakers, he never wanted me thinking about filling his shoes. He gave me the tools, he showed me a path, and he wanted me to walk it on my own. The last story I want to share with you tonight is about trees. As Nikki mentioned, we bought our first home from Kathleen and Lou, Pinky's place. It was, at one point, Florida Stage housing, so I'm sure quite a number of you in here and online have actually slept at or at least partied in my house. At any rate, the house sits towards the end of a dead-end street, which, unlike any other block in the neighborhood, is lined with oak trees. They run nearly 3/4 of the block and provide this incredible canopy, which is an unbelievable asset in the Florida summers. Those trees were planted decades ago by Kathleen. And I know because Lou told me. And because he sometimes had a penchant for repeating himself, I heard that bit of information several times over the first few years we lived in our house. But even after he stopped repeating the story, every time he would come over to pick me up, to drop something off, or to just visit, every single time I would find him outside, staring up in wonder at those oaks, beaming with pride and filled with love for the legacy Kathleen had left on that street. And here we are tonight, all of us together. And I'm looking out on this audience and thinking of all of you wonderful people watching us from all around the country. And I'm looking at Lou's oaks, Lou's majestic wilderness built from love. And I am so very grateful to be even a small part of that ecosystem. And each time I drive down that block to arrive at our beautiful home, I will be reminded of the saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. And as the saying goes, the second best time is now. Thank you, Lou, for all you are, all you have given, all you will continue to inspire. I am honored and proud to be part of your great forest, and I will do all I can to ensure to carry your vision for the lab into the future, nurturing and caring for it as it grows into the most magnificent oak of them all. Thank you.
Well, I think that the idea for Theater Lab at FAU was fairly simple. FAU should have its own professional resident theater company.
Please follow the band. They're going to lead you out to the toast. Please follow the band.